So where did we leave the class last time? Can somebody please jog my memory?
I think last time we just finished the local notification.
Right, and that's when we had this homework. At the end, we said that
Yeah.
that the programming of the buttons we will. Okay, okay, yeah. So that is where I would have it here in the app I was working on with you. Okay, so today what we will have is we will dive into the realm of push notifications. We'll understand, we already did that for Android a little bit. We started looking at, let me just get this out of the way. Okay, so this is, I think, pretty much where we were, where we did this part, generate notifications.
I have a question about the email you sent about registering with Apple developer account. So people who don't have Apple developer account, how are they going to access it?
Push notifications?
Yes.
No, the users of your app don't need that account.
No, so even us, like, do we have to pay like $135?
No, that's why, see, I'm hoping that the invitation I sent, you are already registered in that program, Shahrukh.
Okay.
Chosen College, the shared developer account, they have a scheme for universities and colleges.
Yeah, that account. Yeah.
I have seen your name in that list.
I registered for that. So is it this would the push notifications work with that?
That's my hope that it would work
Okay.
because yeah, of course, it would
Because I don't
be.
know how, like, I've tried it before. I haven't actually like integrated push notifications before, but I used to have one app on the App Store and then I removed it because it was causing me too much money. I wasn't making any money from it. And
Mhm.
but I don't know how it will work with this Apple University shared account because it's like a multiple account, and if we all like we can integrate push notifications for different apps using the same account.
So what will happen is, to see, you are a part of that team as a developer.
Yeah.
And you will generate your own certificates, you'll generate your own push notification, whatever keys, etc. they need, identifiers, you will do your own.
So you can do your own. So every developer can do their own.
Yes, that's what the theory is. I have tried it, and we'll try it again today, all of us, and we'll see how it goes.
Okay.
So because every one of us can get our own certificates, we should be able to. So what happens is that when we generate a notification from the cloud, Apple servers first, we will be using Firebase, the Firebase servers, and then the Apple servers, they know which app you're talking about.
Hmm.
So that way we should be able to do it. But I see that's a good question. Because generally speaking, a corporate account may have only one set of certificates, etc. So it will be shared. But still, each account can have multiple apps, and the
Yeah,
notifications are targeted to the app.
that is true. Yeah.
So push notifications. So this we talked about, right? What exactly happens in the push notifications on Monday? We discussed that there are four steps that typically happen. When you install an app, there is some setup that happens. Your app may or may not require the user to have an account of some sort. Your device plus app installation is given a unique ID. And this unique ID is what is used for notifications. You can store it in a database on the cloud, on a server somewhere. And if you have a user ID, you will store the combinations. Otherwise, you can just have a list of unique IDs and you can message all of those users whenever certain conditions are met, whenever you trigger a notification. So that is the setup part. And to originate the app push notification, you will be doing it from your server. If you have a serverless architecture, you might be using cloud functions, and it will go to, okay, here I should clarify, it's not just Google or Apple's push notification service. So that is what happens. So you have a unique ID, you trigger, you say, okay, send a notification to this unique ID. So these servers, they know which device and which app you're talking about. And they will push the notification to that, which is received by the app. Just like our notifications here got received, right? Here in did receive. It will be received. You can handle it here in iOS. It will come to this exact same place. And then you process, follow up, whatever it is you need to do, whatever the information, the payload of the notification is, you will do something based on that. So we also talked about what the different ways of accomplishing this are. You could do it using the native Apple and iOS methods. So basically, you don't use a third-party framework. Then you need to do a lot of things on your server side. You need to keep track of who is on which platform and different code on your server side you will be talking to Apple one way, Android one way, the response will come. Sometimes these servers will tell you that the notification was not delivered because of some reason. Let's say the user has uninstalled your app. And when a user uninstalls, you may or may not have deregistered their unique ID from your database. So that time, the push notification service will actually tell you that, hey, this ID is no longer valid. So when you get a response, you need to process it and you remove it from your. So all of that, what happens at that point from the time, you hand over in Firebase, for example, you tell Firebase send this notification. And now Firebase gives you one way of combining how to deal with Apple and Google and also web-based notifications. And similar is going to be true for other services, other third-party services. We are looking at Firebase. One of the reasons is that Firebase is what you will have to use if you're doing notifications on Google. They're pushing that. And since it already includes iOS, we don't need to go to another third-party framework. So cloud messaging setup and usage. This is where we want to start. Now, let's see. What we will do is, this has been, in my testing, I've played around with it quite a bit. It has been a bit of a tricky thing. So we will have to carefully follow the different steps in terms of, bundle IDs and all that. That's what we'll do. Let me just see what is on the next slide. Okay. Before we do that, what we will do is I want to look at this a bit. Cloud architecture. So this is an image from Google's own explanation of cloud messaging. And these are the different layers that come into play. So you have message building and targeting. So there is in Firebase, you have a console from where you can actually manually generate notifications. And also they have something called trusted environment, where if you have your own server, you can set up through some authentication keys, etc., a trusted environment, and you have an SDK, or you can use direct HTTP calls to talk to Firebase, the Firebase backend, the engine, and say, okay, here is the notification I would like you to send. So you may include one or more of those IDs and what the payload of the notification is. And then it's the Firebase engine's job to decide how to execute depending upon what it is. And I have a link here. I will post it in the chat. You guys can look at this in more detail if you like. So this gives more details about each and every step, what is going on. But I gave you an overview. Okay. Uh, let's see what else we need to know. In Firebase, there is a concept of message types. There are two types of messages you can send. One type is what is called display messages. These are like, the local notifications we got. We had to do some implementation to generate a notification and trigger it, right? These display messages do not require any special coding on your part. These work with a predefined set of keys. You send key value pairs to Apple or iOS, the Google, Apple or Google, and they know what to do with it. They will handle it. Even in your app, you don't need to do any coding. The notification will just show up. So this is handled by the Firebase SDK. So the basic functionality where, let's say, you go to your Firebase console and you say send a message to all these devices. On the device side, you have done no implementation. All you've done is included the Firebase SDK, which is all we will do today. We will go through all of that. And that SDK knows how to handle when a message like that is received, and it will display it. And it will have the default functionality even of when you tap on the notification, what should happen. Even in these display messages, I believe you can have additional functionality like what should happen when the user taps it. You can include that message as well and handle it. Whereas there is a second type of messages called data messages. These, you have your own set of keys, still requires key value pairs to be sent there, usually in JSON format. And you have custom keys, so these must be handled by the app. The Firebase SDK does not trigger anything on the display of the device. It does not show a notification. It's your job. So what would happen is that, just like with this notification center delegate, we have a did receive method. Firebase would have its own method where it will say, okay, when a message like that comes, this is what it does. And we may have to implement some delegate and all that, and we will receive that and we'll process it. So those are the two types of messages. And depending upon the app you are developing, you may be just happy with display messages, or you may have data messages that you want to, sometimes you may not want to trigger a notification. Like we talked about on Monday, a data message may be something that the app processes and decides that, okay, I don't need to notify the user about this. So there is a catch here for development. So in Android, the entire framework, push notifications, everything works in the emulator, the Android emulator. However, the iOS simulator does not support push notifications. So you cannot create that unique ID we talked about. And because you cannot create that unique ID, notifications cannot be received. So you must use an actual device to test. Who here does not have, I know I've asked this question before, and I don't know if all of you were there, but I believe that at that time everyone said they have an iOS device. Is that still the case? So Harry still has, Hamza has, Shahrukh, you showed us the device with the sensors. How about you, Reginald? We can't hear you, Reginald. You have an iOS device?
No, I don't have an Android device.
No, iOS.
No, I have
iPhone.
an Android device. I don't have iOS device.
Oh, you have an Android device. Okay.
Yes.
So we'll work with it and we'll get as far as we do in the simulator.
Mm.
And what I would recommend is that if you have access to a device, maybe somebody you know, a friend, somebody has it, you can plug it into your computer and test it.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
All right. So this is what we will do. Instead of reinventing the wheel, I have links here to a couple of documents which guide us through the process. Now, as I was doing it, I also figured out that these tutorials themselves have errors. So we will have to just correct a few things along the way. This is what the first one is actually pretty nicely written. I might even have it open here. Would you guys like me to paste the link? Let me do that anyway. And then I will open the page and we'll follow it along. So this is implementing push notifications. You will see that it's a little old. The steps have not changed much. Screenshots will look different. So the first step it says is to have a paid Apple developer account. Yes, you need to enroll into the Apple developer program. This is why I sent you those invitations. If you have accepted and you have, logged on to that Georgian College developer account, we will be able to do this part. Okay. So the first thing I want you to do is log on to your Georgian College developer account. And you might see something like this. Please acknowledge that you are able to see this when you log on.
Uh, I actually didn't get any invitation. I hope maybe I might have I might have an account there. I'll just try logging in.
Okay. This is what, do you guys see a page like this? You may not have all the things. I have an admin access.
Yes, I see
Okay.
that.
Yes. Yes.
You see that? Okay, perfect. Hamza, you are also there? Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
And Shahrukh? So first thing we want to do is go into certificates, IDs, and profiles. So on the same page, you will see this one here. You go into identifiers. And now you will see a plus button. You'll be able to create a new identifier. And what you want to do is choose this first one, app IDs. And then say continue. And it is going to ask you for a description. So use your name. Please use your name. So for example, use your full name in the description. And some whatever else you want to call the app. I will call notification development, push notification development. And in the bundle ID again, just go with ca dot georgian dot your name, full name, and the app name, that bundle identifier that you are going to use later on. So this part is, we'll create a new app. You're not going to work with your existing app site. We just have a consistent bundle ID. Okay, and don't click continue yet.
This app name, should we make it the app that we're gonna work on for final project, or can we have like multiple of these app IDs? So if we're doing this right now with whatever app we're gonna work on, and then later on for a final project will be another one.
Yes, yes. So leave that, final project. Don't use that. Use something that we are just going to use for this lesson.
Okay.
Okay. So at least you get, you get to go through the whole process once you become familiar.
Hmm.
I find that just watching someone else do it is not the same as actually doing it yourself.
Yeah, that's true.
So this will give you that experience. So here you can choose capabilities that you're going to use in your app. And in our case, we only want right now, we just want push notifications. So check that box. So these are the things you should have. Bundle ID should be explicit, and you should have typed the whole thing, a name, and push notifications. Okay. And then you will click continue. And this is where it shows what you've done. This is like a confirmation page. And you can just say register. All right, so here you will see your own app identifier should come up. Okay, so I see yours, Hamza, Harry, and Shahrukh as well. Okay, perfect. Now we've done that part. We've got our app ID. So now the next thing we need to do is create a certificate. So this is the process. So these screenshots look different, but you can follow along what I'm doing. Go back to your app that you just created in these identifiers. And next to the push notifications, you should see a button called Configure Now. You'll click on that. And this says that to configure push notifications, each client requires an SSL, a secure socket layer certificate. And we will do this. And the workflow for this is to be able to create a certificate, you need to generate what is called a certificate request. So if you were to click on create certificate, it is going to ask you to upload a file. Right? So this is what we will do. And the way we do it is in your Finder, type key.
It's keychain.
Oh yeah, keychain. Keychain access. So open the keychain access and click on the name keychain access in the menu and then certificate assistant, and you'll say request a certificate from a certificate authority. It's the fifth item. So the thing is, as a developer, you need to provide a key, like a private key, and then a certificate is generated, which is a public private key pair, that kind of thing happening. It allows you to use this certificate to send notifications. So here, use your the Georgian College email address. And change the setting from emailed to saved to disk. So then this becomes optional, the CA email address. We don't need to specify. Okay. When you've done this much, hit continue, and it will ask you where to save it. You can choose where to save it. Let me just make sure I don't have anything with that name on the desktop. I don't. So choose, remember the location where you saved it, then because you will be uploading that file. So say save. Done. Now we'll say go back to this page, the developer page, choose file. From your desktop, the file you just saved, certificate signing request, CSR. This file you will choose, and the name should appear here. Now we'll say continue. There it is. So it has generated a certificate. We'll say download. Okay, so we've got, it should be in your downloads, the certificate. Now you go back to all certificates, then you go back to the identifiers and find your app. In your app, it says that you have a certificate now available, right? So we've done that part. Now we'll see how to use it. We'll have to upload this to Firebase. So we'll now get into the Firebase workflow. Okay, there's one more step before this. Now that you've created the iOS certificate, we will prepare the APNS certificate. So the file that you just downloaded, the certificate, all you need to do is in your downloads, you just click on it. Okay. And as you click on it, you will see that in your keychain access, an item would get added. Might have other items, you might not. The top one is the one that just got added. I can expand it, I can see what it is, and you will see that it is for the app that you just registered, the ID. And now what we do is we have this certificate in our keychain. We want to save a copy of it, export it, and then upload to Firebase. So click on the private key. Okay, this is the step where they have it wrong. This doesn't work. If you export just the private key, it doesn't work. See, he's got his click on his name. This is the name of this fellow who wrote this. So what we want to do instead is you right click on the certificate itself, not on the name. You right click on the certificate and say export. So now it will ask you where you want to save it. I'm going to choose.
I don't see the export option when I right click on the certificate.
You don't have an export option?
It says new, copy, delete, get info, evaluate.
How come you are in login?
Yes.
Do you have admin privileges on the Mac account that you're logged in?
Yeah. It's my account.
Yeah, sometimes people have multiple accounts and they may use one without
I
the.
see when I click the just my name, but when I click the entire certificate, I don't.
Oh, see it.
Actually, I see now.
Okay, you do?
Yeah. I don't know what happened. It was not showing up, so now I can see. Okay. I have to
Okay.
export it and name.
Yes, you export it, choose a location, choose a name.
So this is for Firebase, right?
This we will, yeah, we will upload to Firebase. You could upload it to any third-party service which is going to handle your notifications, basically.
I don't see the certificate here. Should I add the certificate here, sir?
You have to double
Yes,
click it.
Hamza. So you downloaded it, right?
Yeah.
So just click on that file
Okay. I'm
and
sorry.
it will get added to that list.
Okay.
It asked me for a password when I try to export it.
So you can leave it blank. Otherwise, it will ask you for that to repeat that password when you upload anywhere to Firebase or wherever.
So I can
So
just
it's
leave
just
the
a
password
security
as
measure.
blank.
Huh?
I can leave the password field blank.
Yeah, you can leave it blank. Then it won't ask. So in a real world app, you may want passwords and all that. Right now, we're just going, through this to see how all this works. You can also choose a password. The decision is yours. Now you see Hamza the certificate, and you are able to export it.
Yes, now I can see it. Yeah. Thanks.
So when we say save, it's going to ask for a password. I'm just going to leave mine blank. And then it will ask you for your keychain, your account password of the Mac.
Okay.
So I chose to save it on the desktop. I should see a file called apns. It ends in .p12.
P12, yeah.
Yeah. So there we have it. We have that certificate. It has been saved. Now we will go to Firebase. So you remember we did this part on Monday with
Yeah,
Firebase?
my app is still didn't connect. Then I just stopped for some reason. It keep telling me for the Android one because it needs to connect the analytics and keep trying to find it, and then I just left it.
Yeah, I have no idea. I've tried these things many times and occasionally it doesn't work. It does not connect. So we will go to Android, the Firebase console. Let's open the Firebase console. We can use the same project or we can go through the workflow again.
Mhm.
Let's do that so we get to practice this a bit more. So we'll go add project. And again, this name needs to be unique in the Firebase universe. So actually you can have spaces here. So you can use your initials. This is completely up to you how you want to name it. As long as it is unique, Firebase will accept it. So once you have a name, you click and you enable this. Without it really doesn't work. Continue. And oh, sorry, actually my mistake. We have to disable this because otherwise it will ask you to connect an analytics account. If you have one, you will be able to select it here.
You can select the default one, right?
No default account for Firebase.
It
That's true.
works.
Good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this will just get saved within Firebase. You will have access through that.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe that's why it did not connect.
Because you didn't connect with the default one last time. I connected
Yeah, it's
my Android
possible.
one.
Because it doesn't send any information, maybe. I don't know. I'm just speculating here.
Yeah. I don't know.
So now it is coming up. Okay. New project is ready. We'll go there. Now we have the same screen we saw on the when we were doing the Android setup. You can actually do both in one. So you know, if you're developing an app that has both Android and iOS versions, you will manage through the same Firebase project. Now we'll click on iOS and go through the iOS setup. So this here, the bundle ID needs to be the exact same bundle ID you have in your developer in this certificate here. It cannot be different. So my recommendation is copy and paste it.
We also we'll have to create the app with the same bundle ID, right?
Yes, that will be our next step. So if you already have an app, so here is the thing, good point there. If you already have an app, you can use the bundle ID you used with that app, or you can, if you have a different bundle ID, you can change the bundle ID of the project that you're working on. Both ways you can do it.
Yeah, because changing of the project I think would be easier because then I'll have to create a new certificate, right? If I change the bundle ID on the app one and then generate a new certificate.
Yeah, yeah. So let's register this app. And this is similar to what we did in Android. You know, it creates a file property list in this case, and in the Android's case, I think it was a JSON file. So you will download this file and it will stay there. In your downloads, what we will do next, once we have that file, is we will create an iOS app with that same bundle ID and work with that. So let's go to Xcode. To stop the task and create a new project. We'll just have the default, whatever it gives us, single view app. Product name can be, use your name please. So if I ask you for a submission, you have it. And bundle ID, paste that bundle ID you had before.
Do we paste this in the organization identifier? It will be twice, right? Because the organization is only the first one.
So
the name of the app
has to be what you used there.
so just the push notifications that I wrote.
I can't remember what I called it. Let me just double check. So this will be our organization, the first part. And the app would be push notifications. One word, that's how I have it. So this will create a bundle identifier that is identical. Okay. Once you have this bundle identifier should look like what we had on the developer, and we can also edit it later on. It's not a big deal here. Create your project in the location of your choice. Okay. Now we have this part here. That plist file that you just downloaded, make sure that, see, I have multiple of them saved here in my downloads folder. So the Mac OS by default appends these numbers at the end. And in your Xcode, it is going to look for a file that is actually called just info Google service -info, not -2, not -3, none of that. So you need to rename it if necessary. You may not. I did because I had previously saved files. And then you'll just, okay, this is what it contains. Didn't mean to open it, but it just opened. It has all the settings, how to connect your app to the Firebase project. So for example, it has this long ID here. And somewhere along this, it will also have your, bundle ID, all the other information it needs to connect. So let's drag and drop this. Why won't it move? Okay, I'm going to do it from here. So make sure that it is right beneath that info.plist. That's where you drop it. And it is going to ask you these questions, copy items, etc., etc. You select that. And now you have your information that you need to connect to the Firebase engine is here. So at this point, what I want to do is, we have this also, right? The documentation from Google. These are pretty much the same steps we have so far followed. We've created a Firebase project. We've added this file to our Xcode. Now, what we need is, we need to add Firebase SDKs to our app. How many of you have used CocoaPods?
I've used CocoaPods. I used it for my last project as well.
Harry, Hamza?
Yes, I use once.
Okay.
No, I have not used.
So CocoaPods is like a package management engine. It allows you to specify what libraries, external projects you want to use, and then in your project they will get included. So this is what we will do now. We will set up CocoaPods for our Xcode project. For that, you will need to use the terminal. And go to the folder where you saved your project, the one that you just created. So this is the folder where my project got saved. So once you are there, you will just type pod init. So this initializes the use of CocoaPods in this project. Now, if I do file listing again, earlier there were just two things here, push notifications and the Xcode project. Now there is a third one called pod file. How do you edit your text files on Mac? I use VI. I don't know if you're
You can use text editor too, and then you can just copy
edit.
it.
Yes. So, you can find it in your Finder and use text edit as well. And in this, you will see a section called use frameworks. Comment the next line. Okay, no, we don't want. So below this, pods for push notification. Below this line, you will add the two pods that we need. Firebase Analytics and Firebase Messaging. And you can actually just copy it from this page. You need a link to this page?
Yes.
So use text edit or however you want to do it. Oops. To copy it again, I changed the clipboard. Okay, so there we go. We have the two things we are going to need, analytics and messaging. And this first part, analytics, is what you need if you're using only, if you're not using notifications, just the basic Firebase, whatever functionality it has of basically just analytics. This is what you need. At the very minimum, you need this to use Firebase, this line. So you save it. Now our pod file has the information we need, and at this time you will just say pod install. So it will read your pod file. If you have made any, let's say this is the first time we are running it, so it will install everything. But you could have done it in steps, or day after tomorrow you may figure out, oh, okay, I need one more pod of some other type. You will add it to this and just go pod install. And it will install whatever you have added. Whatever is already there, it will ignore. So this is a very important line this year that I have highlighted. Please close any current Xcode sessions and use push notifications.xc workspace. You'll see that earlier we had a file called here, you can see at the top, right? Push notifications.xcode project. Now there is one more called push notifications.xc workspace. XC for Xcode, presumably in workspace. So what it is telling us is that we need to close this. What we have open here, we need to close. And instead, we need to open that XC workspace file. That will be our Xcode project going forward because we are using pods. Otherwise, it does not see the pods. So in your Finder, if you go, you will see it even has a slightly different icon. This XC workspace. You double click this, and earlier when we opened the Xcode project, you see only this part. Now there are pods, and you can examine this, what pods are there and all that. You'll see that there is Firebase messaging. All of those have come up here. So now our next step is to upload our authentication key to the Firebase project. Okay, everybody up to that point? All of you?
Sorry, for me it's still installing the pod. I don't
Same.
know why it's so slow.
Mine is very slow to its installing.
Okay, so let's just wait here then. Mine may be
I
fast
think we can
because
continue, right? So the rest of the stuff doesn't require workspace. So we can do Firebase things if you want to.
yeah, so this I think
Well,
it's taking longer for you guys because it's the first time you're using these pods.
yeah.
I have a feeling that because I've done this before, it keeps a local copy. So for now, for me, it was just a matter of maybe a handshake, check if a version has changed. If not, just copy the from the local copy. So yeah, let's continue with this. By that time, your Xcode workspace should be ready. So these are the steps for uploading the APNS key. But Shahrukh, I want for that to finish so that we see, we can verify our app installation. So leave this page open. Let's open another Firebase console. I don't know if it will show us that app though. This is my project, iOS. Okay. So open a new Firebase console window, go into project settings. And you will see in general tab, you will see your iOS app. Do you see it?
Yes, I can see it.
How about Harry and Hamza? Do you guys see it as well?
Sorry, so go to the project setting, right?
Yes, from this view,
Oh,
you go to
Uh,
project
down.
settings,
oh,
and you should see your app here.
I can't click on the settings.
It happened to me also. Just reload the page, Hamza. So there's
yeah,
a bug on the Firebase. Just reload the page, and you should be able to then click on it.
Yeah, yes, it works. Should I reload?
yeah, I can see.
Yeah. Yeah, it just freezes. Nothing happens sometimes. I think that's one other way Google wants you to push towards using Chrome.
I'm using Chrome anyway.
Oh, you're using Chrome, okay. So then I'm wrong. It just didn't. Maybe they haven't tested it enough. Nobody has complained yet. So your iOS app is there.
Yes.
Yes.
Go into the cloud messaging section. In cloud messaging, again, your app will be here, and it says configuration with auth keys is recommended. So you saw that in the developer console, there was a place where you could create keys, right? The problem here is that there is a limit on how many keys you can create. So if you want to create a push notification key, here you will see an error message. You have already reached the maximum allowed. So I can't, we can't each one of us go and create a key and use it. We'll have to keep on deleting one key or another. And when you delete it, that key stops working. That's why we chose the other method, which is the identifiers. So in our case, we'll use this APNS certificates. So development APNS certificate. So we'll just say upload, and you will choose the file, the P12 file that you have saved on your desktop or wherever you saved it. And at this point, if you use the certificate password, you can enter it here, or it will ask you to enter when you hit upload. So there is our development certificate. It has shown up here, valid for 1 full year. Okay. How about your pod install? Is it over yet?
No, it's still installing. My
Does
internet is very slow for these days. I don't know. I'll have to call Rogers. 12 MB for some reason only.
Yeah,
I don't
it
know.
happens to me as well. And then, these days they give you these, the cable modem has the router built into it. Do you have that kind?
I don't know. I'll have to check.
It used to expose two networks, one regular 2.4 gigahertz frequency, and the other one was 5 gigahertz.
Yeah, the 5 G1 that is like for some reason very slow as well.
So the 5G one works well if you're close to the router. It
I'm
does
not.
not have a good range, whereas and
Yeah,
5G
so
is
that's
much
why.
faster.
Yeah, my uncle he got like Google. What do you call those devices that extend the router extenders
Uh-huh.
and the signals. But I don't know how strong they're. Okay, mine just finished right now as well. But
Okay.
yeah, my internet has been like very slow for some reason.
Harry, you're done as well?
Sorry, I just got in a problem. So for the file, it should be P12, right?
Yes, P12.
Somehow for me
You
it's
can
not
export it
P12.
again. You
But
don't, if you can't find it, just go to your.
no, I mean after I export my certificate file,
Yeah.
it doesn't give me the P12. It just give me the CER.
Okay. So how did you do it? This is how you can do it in your keychain access. If you go into this login,
Yeah,
you will see the certificate with
yeah,
the
I see
bundle
that.
ID,
Uh-huh.
right?
Yeah.
If you expand it, you will see your name.
Uh,
That is your private key. But what we want is the certificate. So you right click on it and you say export.
yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I do. But it gave me the file with the CER, not P12.
Okay, okay. So then change that.
Oh
Clear
yeah,
that
yeah,
out.
yeah,
Export it again as P12, yeah.
yeah. P1.
Do you have that option?
No, I don't have an option. I can see that the personal information exchange P12, but it's not it's not lighting, it's I cannot select that.
Mm.
I don't know.
My certificates. Yeah, this,
Uh,
this
and
whole
also is
process
one
is
sorry, and also is one difference here is like for your certificate you can expand that, right? You can see your name under that. But for
yeah.
me, I cannot. I just only see the certificate, but I don't have the expanded the button. I just can see the push notification the certificate, but I cannot see my name.
Are you in the My Certificates and under login?
Yeah,
And it's the latest one, right? The one with George and your name, push
yeah,
notification.
yeah, exactly. That's only one.
You only have one certificate in your view, or you have multiple?
I have a lot, but for
And this
push
is the only one.
notification, that's only one.
This is the only one that you cannot expand.
No, for all of that, I cannot expand.
Yeah, I don't know what that.
Close your keychain access and start it again.
Should I share my screen?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Sorry, I don't know what's going on. Let me see. Keychain.
So this whole thing the is a little bit, like this setting up.
Can you guys see my screen?
Yeah, yeah.
That's only one. the Apple device push notification.
Okay, now I don't see your window. I just see your desktop.
What? Sorry. Okay. Can you see that right now?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So that's only the certificate I have for the push notification.
Okay. So on the left, you see this category? Change that to
Okay.
my certificates.
Okay. Oh, that's why.
Yeah,
Oh, sorry.
yeah.
Okay.
Now you'll be
So
able to
now, this one. Okay, cool.
yeah,
Thanks.
that will save as P1 too. Perfect.
That's one.
And this password, like I said, is optional. So if you're using it, you'll have need to enter it in the Firebase console as well.
Okay. So I just give a password.
Okay, so I'm going to switch to my screen again.
Okay, sure.
All right. So once you have that, Harry, you will be able to upload it here in the Firebase console.
Mm-hmm.
You can upload it, and then we can move on to the to Xcode. Okay. So all of you have the workspace available now. The pod install is done.
Yes, my stuff.
Okay, Hamza, you are also ready?
Yes.
Okay. So open that XC workspace, close the other project, the which we started with. The same project might be open in Xcode, so you will want to close it and then double click the XC workspace. And you will see that a bunch of pods now appear in your workspace here, or everything that we asked it to install, and whatever the dependencies, obviously. Okay, so let's follow along. Now we'll go back to